Hello, I'm Rod Pansine.
And I'm Daniela Torres.
And this is
Marketing for Therapists. We are a KI agency, and this is our podcast, episode 2. What are we going to talk about in this podcast? We finished the first episode, and I asked you, so we launched our practice, and then is that enough to bring the clients in?
Oh, I think you know this answer. Answer is no, unfortunately. We have to think about, there's many things. Let's jump in and see why there's misconceptions about website and SEO. Let's talk about all of those in this episode. Is that right?
So there are many reasons why it's not just about launching yourself, and many aspects to consider. But today, Rod is a website UX UI web developer, web designer specialist. Can you give us what are the most common mistakes? Can we talk only about websites so we can get very specific?
Yes.
So tell us, what do you think are the most common mistakes that the therapists, counselors are making in their websites after they launch?
You keep seeing like therapists or entrepreneurs overall just building their own website. Pretty normal, understandable. Yeah, there are great platforms out there. So the problem is when you don't know the basics on website and SEO is that sometimes you made mistakes that are really bad, and you don't know because you don't know, right? I think the first and most important one, which is responsiveness.
Can you tell people that don't know?
It's just like when the content adapts to different screen sizes. So the content is responsive to those screen sizes. You have to think how the user is actually browsing, or it's the whole journey, right? So not only the design needs to be responsive, but I think the content itself, like the way you drive them to call to action. So a call to action is it could be a button, just like click here and do that. There's little things on experiencing a screen that people don't think. There's many things. It depends on the website and the content. But what I can see is that people forget about that.
So you said that a lot of therapists are doing their own website. So I'm guessing you're talking about, they're using like Wix, Squarespace, and they're literally doing it themselves without hiring professionals. And I also understand that sometimes you just can't afford it, and you're like, I need to get started.
No, yeah, I understand,
that's good that you're doing that. But then what is the, so you said the first problem you would say would be a problem with responsiveness, which is, you build a website in a desktop in your computer, but then it doesn't work on mobile, right? Like people are opening the website in their cell phones, and it's there, but it doesn't look the best way that it could look. What is the consequence of not having a website that works on mobiles? Like, what is literally, like, people are just going to walk away? Like, what happens if you don't have a good website?
It's friction. So the website, it will communicate to the user a wrong message. The therapist is not organized, maybe, right? Or the therapist is not, if it's not clean, it's like a lot of heavy colors. The colors they don't match. So this experience with the website, and the responsiveness is the most common because people, the layout should look different, not really like just the scale down. The experience should scale down as well. You know what I mean? So for example, if you have like 5 images in a desktop, maybe those 5 images on the right, they are grouped, but on the mobile it doesn't look bad, right? Because they're 5 images. But let's say when you go to responsiveness, they stack 5 images with no context. It doesn't make sense for the user, right?
Okay.
So that's what I mean about when adapt, because they are building the website on the desktop probably, right? Not in the mobile. So there is this part. So if you don't understand that, what happens is that you start doing things on desktop and you forget about the experience on mobile, when the experience on mobile is actually the one that is actually converting more, because people are more on mobiles when they are needing that service from what we can see, right? Usually they are browsing the mobile, they need something. So the consequence is not getting the patient that you want. That's the consequence.
For therapists, how do they know if they have a good website or not?
I would always recommend to go simple.
It needs to be like more effective,
Very
simple,
strategic, yes.
very strategic.
Very
Okay.
strategic. That would be a good, which leads me to the next point, which is
Okay.
SEO.
Okay.
And that's a huge one.
Can I explain to people what SEO is in
That's
case
a
they
huge
don't
one.
know?
Yes,
Because I
please
get
do.
asked all the time. So SEO for dummies, for people that are not like website professionals. So SEO is just a weird name that they created, search engine optimization, which means that you optimize your website. You do things in your website so that you communicate your website really well with Google or other like Safari, other like browsers, but Google is like obviously the biggest one. But you optimize your website, you do things in your website so your website is fast, your website doesn't have too much content but not too little content. The website opens really well in a desktop, but also a tablet, but also like a mobile. And then you use the keywords that are appropriate, and then there's the strategy. When you do the right things, you start ranking. So Google compares John's website versus Mary's website, and they're like, well, people are spending 3 times more. Like they're staying 3 times longer on Mary's website. So it's probably a better website. So this is one of the things. You start connecting your website to Google, and then you start ranking higher and higher and higher. And the things that Google analyzes are how long people are staying in your website. If they're going to a page, are they clicking to the next one and the next one and the next one? And there are strategies to make people stay longer in your website. And this is usually done by professionals, right, Rod? My question, is it possible that therapists can do their own SEO? They can like learn a few things and then maybe they can like optimize their websites to Google?
Yeah, well, possible is possible. I think like it's the same thing as therapy. I mean, I could study, I can read books on self-awareness, whatever, but I need a therapist. I need a therapist to have a different perspective on my path, my traumas, whatever. So for website and SEO, I think it's the same thing. It's a huge topic and changes all the time. So they can, but I don't see the best investment on their time.
Oh,
They
okay.
just graduated, like they study a lot of, they want to focus on their practice. But some case they do want to listen to this podcast, for example, to understand a little bit more. So we want to explain, but I would recommend it to it's always the best investment on your time. And we have been doing this for a long time, so
Yeah.
we know. Google needs to deliver a good result. This is their business. If Google doesn't deliver a link for a website that is good, it's bad on them.
Okay.
They look bad.
So they want good material.
They want good material. So
Okay.
it's like content. People sometimes blame the algorithm. Man, if your content sucks, don't blame the algorithm.
That's a good point.
Right? If your website sucks, though, it is technical. How many people refer this website will increase the likability, in terms of Google, the structure, the clean page, the responsiveness, like we said, the copy, the content on the page. So Google has to create some rules, and there are many rules. Even for us, it's hard to define those rules because they don't share.
They don't share. They don't share
those
the rules. You just gain
Yeah,
knowledge by experience.
You have to understand that it's a huge topic, but by yourself, trying to figure out those things, we saw many of therapists spending a lot of time.
We did.
And it's not worth it. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. It's just not worth it. Imagine it's a magazine. How you take the reader from the cover to the end as a client, and convert them. You have to have good content.
You have to seduce them.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. When you have a professional doing that for you, he will create the story and the journey that the user will go through from the landing page, spoiler alert, from the landing to the solution or whatever.
Okay. Rod, is there a way for people to know if they have SEO, if they're doing good or not? Is that a way to test it out? Is
Yeah,
there a
all
place
the-
that they say, do I have good SEO? Am I ranking well? How do they do that? But
you
for
wanna-
non-technical people.
For no technical people, you can just open a incognito window On that incognito window, you want to search on your region. Of course, you search like family therapist. On that search query, you see all the ranking for that specific keyword on your location, whatever.
Basically, what he's saying is that when you go to Google and you Google like family therapy in your Google, your regular Google, your website will most likely be on the top because Google knows, oh, you're probably looking for your own website. If you go incognito, it doesn't have your browsing history, it doesn't have your profile, it doesn't know your location. That's a good way for you to test, because then what happens a lot, we have clients that are like, right? We have clients that have reached out to us. Oh, my website is on top of Google, but I'm not booking. What's going on? And then we check ourselves in front of them with the incognito, and it turns out that their website is on like page 8 of Google. They're not on the top. They're on the top in their own computer, in their cell phones. So this is a great tip for people to know how they're doing on Google.
Another thing that happens a lot is that the website or SEO or searchability, whatever you want to call, it's not a thing that you do and it's done. So that's also important. Imagine that the ranking is changing every day. So when someone tell you that, oh, I did the SEO for you, they did on that specific moment of time, so you have to keep in mind that things are, your competitors or other therapists are just like launching their business and they're starting new. And the ones that are already there, they are improving. So SEO, it's never static. This is another misconception. Oh, I did my SEO, I'm okay. No, website.
It's ongoing.
It's an ongoing thing.
You can do something basic at first, but try to hire professionals to really actually grow. You don't want to use up all of your time instead of growing your practice, working on who you're going to hire as an associate, or, trying to find those clients by trying to learn SEO and trying to learn how to do a website. Just like we just go to therapy. We don't try to learn, therapy, counseling, and
it's exhausting.
So that we can do it with each other.
It's like a lot of things changing all the time. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's kind of, I tell people, like, do you usually hire an accountant, or do you learn accounting so you can do your taxes? No, hire an accountant. Yeah. I mean, some people will learn, I guess. Well, thanks. This was our episode 2 of Marketing for Therapists. I'm Daniela Torres.
I'm Rod Francine.
Thank you. I'll see you next time.
See you.